My sister erased me from her wedding. Then my family learned who had been holding everything together. My mother waited until Thanksgiving dinner to announce that my younger sister had replaced me. Not just as her wedding planner, as her maid of honor, as the daughter whose name would appear beside hers in every family photograph. Then my sister raised her champagne glass, smiled across the table and said, "Don't take it personally, Claire. You're better at working behind the scenes anyway." Everyone laughed, even my father. What none of them knew was that nearly everything they planned to celebrate over the next 6 weeks existed because of me. And before sunrise the next morning, I quietly stepped out of every role they had assigned me without ever bothering to ask. By Saturday afternoon, the perfect wedding my sister had been bragging about online began collapsing one piece at a time. But the moment that finally broke, my family wasn't when the venue called. It was when my mother realized I wasn't coming back to save them. My name is Claire Bennett, and for most of my life, my family described me with the same 3 words. She can handle it. When my father forgot to pay the electric bill during a rough winter, Claire could handle it. When my mother needed help preparing food for 60 guests at Christmas, Claire could handle it. When my younger sister Madison dropped out of college for a semester because her boyfriend broke up with her, Claire could handle it. When my parents' 25th anniversary party nearly fell apart because the caterer canceled, Claire could handle it. That phrase sounded like praise when I was young. As I got older, I realized it was permission. Permission to give me more work. Permission to ignore my exhaustion. Permission to assume I would always fix what everyone else broke. I was 34 when Madison got engaged. She was 28, beautiful in the effortless way that made strangers want to help her before she had even asked. She had our mother's golden hair, our father's easy smile, and a talent for making every room feel as though it had been waiting for her to arrive. I had dark hair, practical shoes, and the kind of face people trusted with their emergencies. Madison worked as a lifestyle content creator in Nashville. Her income changed from month to month, but online she presented herself as a successful wedding and home design expert. Her social media pages were filled with white kitchens, expensive candles, boutique dresses, and carefully staged captions about gratitude. Most of the furniture in those photographs came from our parents' house. Several of the dresses had been returned after she photographed them. And more than once, the meals she called my cozy Sunday recipes had been cooked by me in my apartment. I never corrected anyone. That was another role I had in the family. Protect Madison from an embarrassment. When she became engaged to Tyler Pierce, my parents acted as if a royal wedding had been announced. Tyler came from a wealthy suburban family outside Franklin, Tennessee. His father owned several high-end home improvement stores, and his mother chaired charity committees where the table decorations cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. The Pierces were polished, social, and deeply concerned with appearances. My mother became obsessed with impressing them. "We have to show them Madison comes from a good family," she said the week after the engagement. I remember standing in my parents' kitchen holding 2 bags of groceries I had purchased for their engagement dinner. "We are a good family," I said. My mother gave me a distracted smile. "You know what I mean." Unfortunately, I did. She meant the house needed repainting. She meant my father needed a better suit. She meant our relatives needed instructions about what not to discuss. Most importantly, she meant I needed to make Madison's wedding look expensive without allowing anyone to see how little money my parents actually had available. Madison wanted a winter wedding at Willow Ridge Estate, a renovated horse farm outside Nashville with a glass reception hall, a stone fireplace, and enough hanging lights to make every photograph look magical. The venue alone was far beyond what my parents could afford. Madison cried when my father suggested choosing somewhere smaller. "It's the only place that feels like us," she said. What she meant was that it was the only place that looked like the wedding saved on her inspiration board. My father looked at me. He did not need to say the words. Claire could handle it. I had spent 12 years working as the operations manager for a small hospitality group. I coordinated charity dinners, corporate retreats, birthday celebrations, and occasional weddings. I knew vendors. I knew how to negotiate without insulting people. I knew which details guests remembered and which ones existed only to impress strangers online. More importantly, several people in the local wedding industry trusted me. I called the manager at Willow Ridge. A cancellation had opened the first Saturday in December. If we accepted the date quickly and used off-season vendors, the venue could work. Barely. I gave up evenings and weekends for 7 months. I negotiated a reduced rental fee. I convinced a florist I had worked with for years to design a winter arrangement using candles, greenery, and dried flowers instead of expensive imported roses. I found a local bakery willing to create a smaller display cake with sheet cakes in the kitchen. I arranged for a photographer who had just moved to Tennessee and wanted to expand her portfolio. I designed the seating chart. I organized transportation for elderly relatives. I found a seamstress when Madison changed her mind about her dress 6 weeks before the wedding. I even spent 3 nights repairing 200 handmade place cards after Madison decided the first lettering style did not look luxurious enough. At first, she thanked me constantly. "You're saving my life," she would say. "You're the only person I trust." I don't know what I'd do without my big sister. She asked me to be her maid of honor over brunch crying as she slid a bracelet across the table. The bracelet was engraved with the words, "Always beside me." I wore it almost every day. Then Madison's wedding post began attracting attention online. A regional bridal company offered her free accessories in exchange for exposure. A small wedding magazine asked to feature the event. Her number of followers climbed. That was when my sister stopped describing the wedding as something we were creating together. It became her vision, her design, her brand. She began introducing me to vendors as my assistant. The first time it happened, I thought she had simply chosen the wrong word. The second time, I pulled her aside. "Madison, I'm not your assistant." She rolled her eyes. "I know that. It's just easier than explaining everything." Explaining that I'm your sister, no. Explaining why my maid of honor is making calls about delivery schedules. "Because you asked me to manage the wedding." She sighed as though I were creating a problem during her already difficult day. "Claire, can we not make everything about titles? I thought you wanted to help me." That sentence stayed with me. I thought you wanted to help me. In my family, help was never considered a gift. It was a debt they believed I owed. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, Madison hired or claimed she had hired a woman named Sloan Hart as her creative director. Sloan had about 70,000 followers and posted videos about luxury weddings, bridal beauty, and social etiquette. She had never planned a full wedding, but she photographed well-dressed beautifully and knew how to speak in phrases such as visual storytelling and elevated guest experience. Madison began including Sloan in vendor meetings. Sloan would listen while I explained the schedule and then repeat my plan using different words. Madison would clap her hands and say, "That's exactly what I wanted." Once, after I spent 20 minutes solving a transportation problem, Sloan said we should think of the guest arrival as a soft transition into the emotional landscape of the evening. Madison turned to me. "Claire, can you make that happen?" I stared at her. I just did. Neither of them laughed. A week before Thanksgiving, my mother called me in a panic. Madison had promised the Pierce family an elaborate holiday dinner at our parents' house. She had posted a photograph of a long decorated table with the caption, "Our families are finally becoming one. So grateful my mom taught me how to make every gathering feel like home." The table in the photograph was not at my parents' house. It was a showroom display. My mother had no menu, no decorations, and no idea how 12 additional guests would fit in their dining room. "Can you come early Thursday?" she asked. "How early?" "Maybe 8 in the morning. There's a lot to do." I closed my eyes. I had planned to spend Thanksgiving morning resting for the first time in months. Instead, I arrived at 7:30 carrying groceries, folding chairs, serving dishes, and 2 pies. My mother opened the door wearing a robe. "Oh, thank God," she said, taking the pies from my hands. I barely slept. "Where's Madison?" "She had a late night. Some kind of bridal event. She told me she was coming early to decorate. She needs her rest, Claire. She's getting married in 2 weeks." Apparently, being a bride was a medical condition. By 10, I had seasoned the turkey, prepared the stuffing, rearranged the dining room, set up a second table, and decorated both using candles and greenery left from a charity event. My father wandered through, occasionally offering advice that created more work. My mother changed the table settings twice. Madison arrived at 1:15. Her fiancé and his parents were expected at 2. She wore a cream sweater, tall boots, and perfectly curled hair. Sloan followed her, carrying a camera bag. "You started without us," Madison said. I looked down at my apron, which was covered with flour and cranberry sauce. "Yes, 6 hours ago. We wanted to film the setup." My mother rushed in from the kitchen. "We can still pretend." "Claire, could you move some things back?" I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Madison wanted footage of herself arranging the Thanksgiving table. So I removed several decorations, carried serving dishes back into the kitchen, and stood out of frame while Sloan filmed my sister placing candles I had purchased around a centerpiece I had created. Madison smiled into the camera. "I wanted both families to feel surrounded by warmth," she said. "For me, hosting is really an act of love." From behind the doorway, my father whispered, "She's a natural." I stared at him. He smiled proudly at the daughter pretending to have done the work, while the daughter who had actually done it stood holding a box beneath the camera frame. That should have been the moment I left. Instead, I stayed. Because the turkey needed checking. Because Tyler's grandmother required a chair with better back support. Because my mother was already overwhelmed. Because leaving would have made me the selfish one. The Pierces arrived carrying expensive wine and flowers. Within minutes, Madison was guiding them through the house as if she owned it. She described the table decorations. She explained the menu. She accepted compliments on the pie crust. I waited for her to mention me. She never did. At dinner, I was seated at the far end of the second table beside two cousins and a folding chair holding everyone's handbags. My place card had been handwritten at the last minute. Sloan sat beside Madison at the main table. I noticed immediately, but I said nothing. The meal had gone surprisingly well. People were relaxed. Tyler's mother praised the turkey. My father told the same fishing story twice. For a few minutes, I almost convinced myself I could ignore everything and enjoy the evening. Then my mother tapped her glass. "I think Madison has an announcement." My sister stood. Her expression was bright and rehearsed. "First, I just want to thank everyone for being here. This dinner represents everything Tyler and I want our marriage to be about. Family, tradition, and new beginnings." Her eyes moved briefly toward me. "I also want to thank Claire for helping with some of the practical details." Some of the practical details. I felt something twist inside my chest. But as the wedding has grown, we've realized we need someone who understands the public side of the event. The magazine feature, the brand partnerships, the visual story. Sloan smiled modestly. "So I've asked Sloan to take the lead from here." The room became quieter. I stared at Madison. "What does that mean?" Her smile tightened. "It means Sloan will be coordinating the wedding weekend." "I'm coordinating the wedding weekend." "You've coordinated the preparation," she corrected. "Sloan will handle the final experience." I could feel Tyler's mother watching us. My mother reached across the table and touched my wrist. "Claire, don't make this uncomfortable." I asked a question. Madison inhaled slowly. "I was going to tell you privately." "When?" "After Thanksgiving. The wedding is in 2 weeks. That's why we needed to decide now." I looked at Sloan. "Have you received the vendor schedule?" She hesitated. Madison shared the creative overview. "That isn't what I asked." Madison's voice sharpened. Claire stopped interrogating her. "My father gave me a warning look. Your sister is trying to include someone who can help her. I have been helping her for 7 months." "And we appreciate that," my mother said quickly. The word appreciate sounded insulting. Madison raised her glass again, clearly determined to continue. "There's one more change." Something in her expression made my stomach drop. "Sloan will also be standing beside me during the ceremony." I glanced down at the bracelet on my wrist. "Always beside me." "You're replacing me as a maid of honor." Madison's cheeks reddened. "It makes more sense for the photographs and the feature." No one spoke. I waited for my father to object. He looked down at his plate. I waited for my mother to tell Madison she was being cruel. Instead, she squeezed my hand and whispered, "Please, don't ruin your sister's wedding." My sister gave me a small defensive smile. "Don't take it personally, Claire. You're better at working behind the scenes anyway." Tyler's brother laughed awkwardly. Then my father chuckled, trying to release the tension. A few others followed. It lasted only a few seconds. But I would remember the sound for the rest of my life. I took off the bracelet. I placed it beside my plate. Madison looked at it, and for the first time that evening, her confidence flickered. "Claire, I need some air." My mother's grip tightened. "We haven't had dessert." "I'm no longer hungry." I folded my napkin, and walked toward the front door. Madison followed me into the hallway. "Are you seriously leaving?" "Yes." "Because I changed the wedding party. Because you humiliated me in front of both families after using me for 7 months." Her eyes widened. "I did not use you." "Who arranged the venue?" "You made a phone call." "Who found the caterer?" "They're being paid." "Who created the schedule, negotiated the hotel rooms, arranged transportation?" "Fixed. Your dress, selected the rentals, and answered every midnight message you sent because you were having another crisis." "You offered." "No, Madison. You asked." Over and over again. She crossed her arms. "So, now you're going to hold everything you've done over my head." I laughed once, but there was no humor in it. That is exactly what people say when they never intended to be grateful. Her expression hardened. "This wedding is not about you." "You're right." I opened the door. "It isn't about me anymore." The cold air hit my face. Behind me, Madison said Mom was right. "You always have to make people feel guilty for being happy." I turned around. No, I make you uncomfortable because I remember who cleaned up after your happiness. Then I left. I cried during the entire drive home. Not loudly, not dramatically. The tears simply kept coming as streetlights blurred through my windshield. I cried for the wedding. I cried for the bracelet. I cried for every birthday where I had baked my own cake because my mother was too busy arranging Madison's party. I cried for the year I gave up a promotion because my father needed help recovering from surgery. I cried because my family had not suddenly become cruel. They had simply become comfortable enough to stop hiding it. When I reached my townhouse, my phone already contained 11 messages. 3 were from my mother. Claire, please come back. We can discuss this after dinner. Your father is upset. The Pierces noticed the tension. This is embarrassing. 2 were from Madison. I cannot believe you walked out. You are proving why I needed someone more professional. My father sent only 1. Your mother worked hard on this dinner. Apologize tomorrow. I stood in my kitchen reading that sentence. Your mother worked hard on this dinner. I looked at the flower still caught beneath my fingernails. Then something inside me became very quiet. For years, I had imagined setting boundaries as an argument. I thought I would need the perfect speech. I thought I would need them to understand. That night, I realized a boundary did not require their agreement. It required my absence. I opened my laptop. I did not cancel the wedding. I did not interfere with contracts. I did not call vendors and demand they abandon Madison. I simply sent one short email to every person involved. Effective immediately, I am no longer coordinating the Bennett Pierce wedding. Please direct all questions and final decisions to Madison Bennett or Sloan Hart. Thank you for your work and professionalism. Then I transferred every schedule note and invoice I had created into one shared folder. At the top, I added a document titled Remaining Decisions. It was 6 pages long. The floral team still needed a final ceremony count. The bakery needed confirmation of the delivery entrance. The shuttle company required passenger numbers. The rental company needed someone present to approve the table layout. The venue required a weather decision by Monday. The photographer needed the family photo list. The musician had not received the ceremony order. For months, I had held those details in my head. Madison had assumed the wedding was complete because I had prevented her from seeing the unfinished parts. At 2:16 in the morning, I removed myself from the family group chat. Then I turned off my phone. I slept until almost noon. When I turned the phone back on, it vibrated continuously for nearly a minute. 37 missed calls, 62 messages, 4 voicemails. The first message came from Madison at 7:04 a.m. Why are vendors emailing me? At 7:18, what is the weather decision? At 7:26, the florist says she needs a floor plan. Where is it? At 7:40, Sloan says you didn't send her the complete schedule. At 8:03, answer your phone. At 8:15, this is childish. At 8:47, you cannot abandon me 2 weeks before my wedding. At 9:12, mom is crying. At 9:45, Tyler's mother thinks we don't know what we're doing. At 10:30, please call me. That was the first message without anger. I made coffee. I fed my dog Benny. I showered. Then I called my mother. She answered immediately. Claire, thank God. What have you done? I resigned from planning the wedding. You can't resign from your sister's wedding. I just did. The venue called Madison this morning asking about a backup plan if it rains. She doesn't even understand what they're asking. The choices are explained in the folder. What folder? The shared folder I sent. My mother lowered her voice. This is punishment. No. Punishment would be deliberately damaging the wedding. I transferred everything. I simply stopped working. You know Madison can't handle this. Then, perhaps she should not have replaced the person who could. She was emotional. She got carried away. She prepared a speech. You're her sister. And what does that require me to tolerate? Silence. In the background, I could hear Madison speaking quickly to someone. My mother returned to the call. The florist wants another payment. The florist wants the remaining balance that was always due today. Your father thought you handled that. I handled arranging the payment. I did not agree to pay it. Another silence. How much is it? She asked. I told her. My mother inhaled sharply. That can't be right. It is. Why didn't you warn us? I sent the budget 4 months ago. We thought some of those costs had been reduced. They were reduced. Her voice became thin. Claire, your father and I don't have that kind of money available this week. Then Madison and Tyler will need to adjust the flowers. But the magazine is photographing everything. There it was. Not the marriage. Not the family. The photographs. Mom, I have to go. Where are you going? to lunch. While your sister's wedding is falling apart, I looked through my kitchen window at the sunlight across my small backyard. It is not my wedding. She began crying. Not loud sobs. Soft, wounded sounds that had controlled me since childhood. I don't understand how you can be so cold. I'm not cold. I'm finished being useful to people who don't treat me as family. Then I ended the call. That afternoon, my cousin Rachel came over. Rachel had been seated beside me at the second table during Thanksgiving. She arrived carrying soup and the pie I never got to eat. I thought you might want this, she said. I let her in. For a few minutes, neither of us mentioned the wedding. Then she placed her spoon down. They're telling everyone you had some kind of breakdown. I wasn't surprised. Who started that? Your mother says you've been under pressure at work. Madison says you became jealous when the magazine got involved. I stared at her. Jealous of what? Apparently the attention. I laughed. This time the sound startled both of us. Rachel leaned forward. I know what you did for that wedding. Most people don't. I saw you at Thanksgiving. I looked down at my hands. The worst part wasn't Madison replacing me. What was it? My parents already knew. Rachel's expression changed. What? They weren't surprised. My mother had a response ready. My father wouldn't look at me. They knew before dinner. That realization had arrived during the night. The announcement had not shocked them. Only my reaction had. Rachel reached across the table. I'm sorry. Those two words almost broke me more than the Thanksgiving announcement, because they were the first honest kindness anyone had offered. Over the next 3 days, the wedding crisis spread through the family. The original hotel block had expired because Madison never signed the final form I sent her. Several relatives discovered their rooms were no longer available. The bridesmaids had not ordered matching winter wraps because Madison changed the color twice. The ceremony musician received 3 different song lists from Sloan. The seating chart disappeared after Sloan redesigned it for better photographs and accidentally placed divorced couples together. Madison posted cheerful bridal content throughout all of it. She uploaded a video of herself tasting cake with the caption, "Protecting my peace and enjoying every moment." 30 seconds after posting it, she texted me. "The bakery says they can't deliver at 4. Fix this." I did not respond. Then the public version of the story began. Madison posted a long message about learning who truly supports you during your happiest season. She did not mention my name. She did not need to. Mutual friends began sending me screenshots. One comment read, "Sometimes family gets jealous when you outgrow them." Madison liked it. Another said, "Your real sisters are the ones who celebrate you without making it about themselves." Madison replied with the white heart. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I blocked her account. That evening, my father came to my house. He stood on the porch wearing the same jacket he had worn to my high school graduation. For 1 second, I wanted to become his daughter again. Not the dependable daughter. Not the difficult daughter. Just his child. I opened the door, but did not invite him inside. "You're avoiding your mother," he said. "I spoke to her Saturday. She hasn't slept." "I'm sorry to hear that." He frowned. "You sound like a stranger." "That's interesting." "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means I felt like a stranger at Thanksgiving." He looked toward the street. Madison handled that badly. She humiliated me. She was trying to protect an opportunity. By erasing me, the magazine wants a certain image, and I don't fit it. That's not what I said. You didn't have to. He rubbed his forehead. "Claire, I'm asking you as your father. Please finish what you started." I almost laughed. "You mean finish what Madison took credit for? This family has sacrificed for you too." I waited. He seemed surprised when I did not immediately defend myself. "What sacrifice?" I asked. He opened his mouth. Then he stopped. I watched him search through 34 years for an example. My mother had helped me move into college. My father had replaced the brakes on my first car. They had attended my graduation. They had done things parents were supposed to do. Meanwhile, I had spent my adult life functioning as their unpaid assistant, emergency fund driver, cook, mediator, and backup plan. "You always make everything into a calculation," he said finally. "No, Dad. I'm calculating it for the first time." His face tightened. "Your sister is devastated. So am I. She's 2 weeks away from her wedding. And that makes her pain more important. It makes the timing different." I nodded slowly. "There will always be timing, won't there?" "What?" "Her engagement, her wedding, her pregnancy someday, her child's birthday, her crisis, her happiness. There will always be a reason I'm expected to wait." "That's not fair." "No, it isn't." He exhaled sharply. "What do you want us to do? Cancel the wedding?" "I never asked for that. Then what do you want? I wanted my family to stop treating me like hired help. We don't. You allowed Madison to remove me from her wedding after I built the entire thing. It's her wedding. That was her decision. And leaving was mine. He stared at me. For once, he had no answer. Before walking away, he said, "Your mother thinks you'll regret missing this." I held the door open. Maybe I will. He looked hopeful. But regret is not the same as being wrong. The following Monday, I received a call from Elena Ruiz, the owner of Willow Ridge Estate. Elena and I had worked together on several events. "I heard you stepped away," she said. I did. "Are you okay?" The question caught me off guard. "I will be." She paused. "Madison and Sloan were here this morning." I waited. "They want to move the ceremony into the glass hall without reducing the table count." "That won't fit," I told them. What did they say? That I was being negative. Despite everything, I smiled. Elena continued, "I'm not calling to pull you back into it. I just wanted you to know I won't allow them to blame you if their changes don't work." "Thank you. There's something else." "What?" "I'm expanding our private events department after Christmas. I need someone who understands both operations and people. I plan to ask whether you knew anyone." I thought about my current job. I was respected there, but invisible. I made other people's events successful and watched executives accept the praise. "What exactly are you offering?" "A partnership on a selected events to start. Your own clients, your own name on the work." My own name. 3 ordinary words. They felt more valuable than anything my family had offered. "I'd like to discuss it," I said. We arranged to meet on Wednesday. For the first time since Thanksgiving, I felt something other than grief. I felt possibility. Wednesday evening, while I was reviewing Elena's proposal at a coffee shop, Madison walked in. She spotted me immediately. Her hair was pulled into a careless ponytail. Dark circles showed beneath her makeup. She crossed the room quickly. "You're meeting with Elena." "Yes." "About my wedding." "Number." She looked at the papers on the table. "What is that?" "None of your business." Her expression changed. "You're enjoying this." "Number." "You are. You're sitting here drinking coffee while Mom is borrowing money for the flowers." "I told you to reduce the flowers." "They've already been promised to the magazine." "Then the magazine can pay for them." She pulled out the chair opposite me. "I need you to come back." There was no apology. No acknowledgement. Only need. "Why?" "Because Sloan doesn't understand the schedule. You said she was more qualified. She understands branding." "Then let her brand the transportation plan." Madison's eyes filled with angry tears. "Do you want me to beg?" "Number." "What do you want?" I studied my sister. For years, I had loved her by rescuing her. I had protected her from consequences so completely that she believed consequences were cruelty. "I want you to understand why I left." "I understand, you're hurt." "That's not enough." "What else is there?" "You believe my hurt is an inconvenience compared to your wedding." She looked away. "I've dreamed about this day my whole life. And I have spent my whole life being told your dreams matter more than my dignity." "That's dramatic." "There it is." "What?" "The reason I'm not coming back." She folded her arms. "Fine. I'm sorry you felt unappreciated." "That isn't an apology." "I said I was sorry. You apologize for my feelings, not your actions." Her jaw tightened. "What do you need me to say, Claire? That you used me? That you took credit for my work? That you replaced me because I didn't look right for your photographs? That you let our family laugh when you humiliated me?" She stared at me. Other customers had begun glancing toward us. Madison lowered her voice. "You know how important the magazine feature is. More important than you." She did not say the words. She did not need to. I gathered my papers. "I hope your wedding is beautiful." Panic flashed across her face. "Claire, wait. I mean that. What am I supposed to do?" "For once, Madison, whatever you do next will have to be your decision." I walked out. 2 days before the wedding, Nashville received a winter storm warning. Not enough snow to create a beautiful white landscape. Just freezing rain, heavy wind, and the possibility of dangerous roads. Months earlier, I had built a backup plan. The ceremony could move indoors if the guest tables were rearranged before noon. The shuttle schedule could begin earlier. The florist could shift the entrance installation. Hot drinks could replace the outdoor cocktail station. All Madison needed to do was follow the document I had left. Instead, Sloan decided the indoor option would ruin the visual identity. Madison agreed. They told Willow Ridge to keep the outdoor ceremony. On Friday afternoon, my mother called. I almost did not answer. Then I remembered she was still my mother, even if I was no longer willing to be controlled by her. "Hello, Claire, the rental company says..." They won't set up chairs outside if there's ice. They're right. What do we do? Use the indoor plan. Sloan changed the floor arrangement. Then change it back. There isn't time. There was time 2 weeks ago. Her voice trembled. I know you're angry. I'm not angry right now. That was true. I had moved beyond anger into something calmer and sadder. Please come to the venue, she said. Number. Not for Madison. For me. Those words hurt. Because for me had always meant do what I want so I do not suffer. What would you like me to do there? Take control. Then what happens after the wedding? What do you mean? Will Madison admit what she did? Will Dad apologize? Will you stop telling relatives I had a breakdown? She became silent. I had my answer. You want the problem fixed, I said. You don't want the family changed. That's not fair. It's exactly fair. Claire people are flying in. They have an indoor venue and a complete backup plan. But no one knows how to make it work. I did. The sentence hung between us. Past tense. My mother began to cry. I never thought you would do this to us. I closed my eyes. I didn't do this to you. You left. After you told me not to ruin Madison's wedding while she removed me from it. I was trying to keep the peace. No, Mom. You were asking the person who was hurt to stay quiet because confronting the person who caused it would have been harder. She whispered my name. I love you, I said, but I'm not coming. Then I ended the call. The wedding day arrived gray and cold. I woke at 6 out of habit. For months, that Saturday had existed in my mind as a sequence of tasks. Hair and makeup at 7, flowers at 9, rentals at 10, photography at 11:30, guest shuttles at 3, ceremony at 4:30. Instead, I made pancakes. I took Benny for a long walk. I kept my phone in a drawer. At 11, Rachel texted me. You don't need to answer, but they moved everything inside. At noon, Sloan put the head table in front of the emergency exit. Elena made her move it. At 1:15, Madison is crying because the magazine photographer is delayed. At 2, your mom asked me whether I knew how to attach a veil. At 3, the shuttle list has guests who change hotels. Then at 3:45, you were right not to come. I stared at that final message. A photograph followed. Madison stood in the bridal suite wearing her expensive gown. Around her, bridesmaids adjusted dresses and searched through bags. My mother was in the corner holding a box and crying. Sloan was looking at her phone. Everyone seemed busy. No one seemed happy. For a moment, guilt rushed through me. I imagined driving to Willow Ridge. I could arrive in 25 minutes. I could repair the photo schedule. I could reorganize the family portraits. I could calm my mother. I could find the missing corsage. I could make myself useful again. Then I noticed something in the photograph. My maid of honor bracelet sat on the makeup table, always beside me. Madison had brought it. Maybe as decoration. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe because some part of her expected me to appear at the last minute and save her. I placed my phone face down. I did not go. The wedding happened. The building did not collapse. The marriage license was signed. The guests ate dinner. The magazine took photographs. It was not the perfect winter celebration Madison had advertised, but it was a wedding. And without me there to absorb every problem, people finally saw how much chaos had always existed beneath the beautiful surface. The next morning, social media filled with carefully edited photographs. Madison looked radiant. Tyler looked relieved. My parents looked tired. The caption read, "Yesterday taught me that love survives every storm." There was no mention of me. I expected that to hurt. Instead, I felt free. 3 days later, Elena and I signed our first client together. It was not a celebrity wedding or a magazine feature. It was a 50th anniversary dinner for a retired school principal and his wife. They wanted warm food, photographs, live music, and enough room for their grandchildren to dance. During our first meeting, the wife held my hand and said, "We don't care whether it looks expensive. We want it to feel like us." I nearly cried. That event became the beginning of Bennett Gatherings, my small event planning studio. Elena gave me office space at Willow Ridge 2 days a week. Word spread quickly. Not because I posted perfect photographs, because vendors knew I answered calls. Families knew I listened. Clients knew I would tell them the truth before a problem became a disaster. Within 6 months, I left my operations job. Rachel joined me part-time to manage guest communication. Our first full wedding season booked faster than I expected. Madison did not speak to me during those 6 months. My mother sent holiday messages written as though nothing had happened. My father occasionally forwarded photographs of home repairs or weather reports. None of them apologized. For the first time in my life, I did not chase them. Then in early June, my mother appeared at my office. I was reviewing a menu when Elena knocked on the door. "Someone's here to see you." My mother stood in the hallway holding a paper bag from my favorite bakery. She looked smaller than I remembered. "I brought lemon cookies," she said. I led her inside. She placed the bag on my desk. "I've been following your business page. I didn't know you followed it." I don't comment. Of course she didn't. Public support might have required explaining why her daughter had started over alone. "You're doing well," she said. "I am." She looked around the office. My name was printed on the wall, not hidden in a schedule, not reduced to an assistant. Claire Bennett, founder and lead coordinator. "I didn't realize how much you were doing," she said. "For the wedding, for all of us." I waited. She twisted her wedding ring. "After you left, everything became harder." "That's not the same as missing me." She looked up sharply. "I did miss you. But did you miss me, or did you miss what I did?" Her eyes filled with tears. This time I did not rush to comfort her. "I don't know," she admitted. It was the most honest thing she had said to me in years. She sat across from my desk. "Madison and Tyler are having problems." "I'm sorry." She blames the wedding stress. "The wedding was one day." "I know." We sat in silence. Finally, she said, "I failed you at Thanksgiving." My chest tightened. "You did?" "I knew she was going to replace you." "I know." She told me the magazine wanted Sloan in the photographs. I told her you would understand. I looked out the window. "Why?" "Because you always did." There it was. The truth. Not that I was less loved. Not necessarily. I was simply considered safer to hurt. Madison would scream, cry, threaten, and withdraw affection. I would endure. My family had chosen peace with her because they believed peace with me did not require effort. "I'm sorry," my mother said. She did not say she was sorry I felt hurt. She did not say she had been stressed. She did not mention the wedding. She simply said it. "I'm sorry." I believed her, but belief did not erase the past. "I love you," I told her, "but things cannot go back to the way they were." "I understand. I won't manage family events." She nodded. "I won't lend money because someone failed to plan." Another nod. "And when Madison hurts me, I will not accept being told to stay quiet for the family." My mother wiped her cheek. "I understand." "Do you?" "I'm trying to." That was enough for one day. We ate lemon cookies. We did not repair 34 years in an afternoon. But we began speaking honestly. My father apologized 2 weeks later. His apology was clumsy. He said he had laughed because he was uncomfortable. I told him that joining cruelty because silence felt awkward was still cruelty. He did not argue. Madison took longer. Almost a year after the wedding, she came to Willow Ridge while I was preparing for another event. She wore jeans, flat shoes, and no camera-ready smile. For a moment, neither of us knew what to say. Then she placed the bracelet on the table between us. "I kept this because I thought you would come back," she said. "I know. I was furious when you didn't." "I know that too. I told everyone you were jealous. I saw the posts." She looked ashamed. Sloan stopped speaking to me after the magazine article came out. "I'm sorry." "No, you're not." "No," I admitted, "I'm not." A small, sad smile appeared on her face. "I thought people loved me because I was special." I waited. "But most of them loved being near the version of my life you helped create." That was not a full apology, but it was the beginning of awareness. She took a breath. "I used you." "Yes." "I took credit for things you did." "Yes." "I replaced you because Sloan looked better in the photographs." Hearing the words still hurt. "I know. And when you left, I cared more about losing the wedding than losing my sister." I looked down at the bracelet. That was the part I couldn't forgive. "Can you forgive it now?" I considered giving her the comforting answer. The old Claire would have done that. The old Claire would have rushed to heal the person who wounded her. "I don't know," I said. Madison nodded as tears filled her eyes. For once, she did not argue with an answer she disliked. "I want to try," she whispered. "So do I. But things won't be the same." Number. "Will you ever wear the bracelet again?" I picked it up. The metal felt colder than I remembered. Maybe one day. Our relationship did not magically recover. We met for coffee. We argued. We went weeks without speaking. Then we tried again. The difference was that I no longer measured love by how much pain I was willing to absorb. I stopped rescuing her. She slowly learned how to face her own mistakes. My business grew. My parents learned not to volunteer my time. Family dinners became smaller and more honest. And whenever someone said Claire can handle it, I asked a new question. Did Claire agree to handle it? Sometimes the answer was yes. Often it was no. Both answers were allowed. People sometimes ask whether I regret missing my sister's wedding. The truth is complicated. I regret that my sister chose appearances over me. I regret that my parents protected the celebration instead of protecting their daughter. I regret that I spent so many years believing love had to be earned through usefulness. But I do not regret leaving, because walking away from that wedding was the first time I stood beside myself. The bracelet Madison gave me promised that she would always keep me beside her. She didn't, so I learned to stop waiting for someone else to choose me. I chose myself. And that choice did not destroy my family. It exposed the parts of our family that had already been broken. Setting boundaries did not make me cruel. Refusing to be used did not make me selfish. Leaving did not mean I stopped loving them. It meant I finally understood that love without respect is only obligation wearing a familiar face. So let me ask you this. If your sibling publicly removed you from a wedding you had spent months building, would you have returned to save the day for the sake of the family? Or would you have walked away and let them face the consequences?